where now a real big fear came over, super big. And I could see the lights flickering in this hallway, and I saw brown stuff. And it's funny how your mind works, because it seemed like everything was in slow-mo, but I know it was happening fast. I didn't understand what that brown stuff was. What it was the building stuff. And for a split second, I thought I saw light around. And I thinking to myself, save yourself, run toward that light. And then I remembered, no, we promised each other we would leave each other. So I saw Dominic starting to turn to the left. I followed, and that's when something big picked me up, slammed me down, put me on my back. And all I remember is hearing people yell. They're yelling. I'm on my back. Things are hitting us. And the first thing you do as a police officer when you're in trouble is you go for your radio. So my radio was on my left lapel. I went for my radio. I'm yelling 813, dark code for like send everything. You're just saying, everybody come. So I'm like 813, officers down. Officer Benno, please help. And I'm trying to yell, and at the same time, I don't know where I'm at. I have no idea where I'm at in this building. And something hits my hand, I lose my radio. At that point, I started holding on the helmet. Something big hit my helmet, literally ripped it off my head. I had a chin strap on, it just came flying off. And at that point, I'm just holding on, and things are bombarding. And it's weird because it felt like it was lasting forever, and then everything just went flat. And I couldn't move. I found myself in a 45-degree angle, leaning back like a lazy football chair. And when I started to see things, I could see this hole about 30 feet. And it started like this real grainy gray, and lights started coming in. What we didn't know, we were right underneath the closet. And the lights started coming in, and all I could see was concrete all around me. It was about 2 to 3 feet to my right of concrete, but very, very tight. And I saw what I know today is literally a wall and actually started crushing. But underneath that wall was Dominic in a pushing position down. And about right beyond my feet, all I could see was concrete. And out of nowhere, I heard sound off. It was Sergeant Block. He was about, I'd say, 10 feet on the other side of this concrete wall. And he was actually stuck at the point when the first initial collapse. He's actually in fetal position, stuck. And he actually says, what's everybody's condition? I said, I got a lot of pain on my left side. I can't move. Dominic said, I think I can shimmy out of here. I'm okay. He's actually okay. And he's in a pushing position down on my left side with his Scott Air pack on. So at that point, Sergeant Block said, okay, if you can get out, get the Menno out, and then you two get me out. So it took a little bit of time, but Dominic was able to shimmy out of his Scott Air pack, get his helmet off, and he literally had to crawl over my face. And he got into this little board. He could barely stand up, so he was kind of crouching. And, again, there's a hole above us about 30 feet. And at that point, Dominic said, Sarge, I think I can go up and get help. And Sergeant Buck said, no, you have to get Menno out. You get the Menno out, and then you get me out. And, he's thinking tactical. You don't leave any man behind. You have to get us out. And he actually made a point, like, listen, there's probably a car bomb. If you leave us, you'll never find us holding. So you have to get us out. And I got to tell you, we had a serious conversation down there. I mean, just put yourself in a dominant position. There's a hole where you can go out and get help, where you follow your leader's orders and stay and do what he says. And remember, we're all family. Sergeant Block has 4 children at home. I had a little girl at home and one on the way. Dominic had 2 children at home. At that point, we realized that we lost Antonio and Chris in the initial collapse. Chris had a little girl at home and Antonio had 2 children at home. And that was hard, losing them, because I must have yelled their names for like 2 minutes. Dominic said, really, they're in a better place. And, it was very, very difficult to accept the fact that 2 of our friends, 2 of our fellow cops, 2 Americans were gone. But Dominic at that point had to make a tough decision, and we talked about it, and he said, really, I got 2 girls at home. I said, hey man, I got a little girl at home on the way. And we kind of talked about it, and he said, Will, I'm going to stay and get you out. He did what I would have done in my honest opinion, and he did what any cop would have done. And it's normal. And why I'm saying this is because we are human beings. So I want people to understand that if you're ever in a position, it's okay to feel certain ways. You're a human being. But we also, as police officers, firefighters, first responders, we do take an oath, and we're always there for our brothers and sisters. And that's what he did that day. He kept up his oath. He actually turned around and started trying to dig me out. There was a piece of rebar in a U-shape, and on the end of it had a piece of concrete that was laying on the right side. And he would actually take this piece of concrete and rebar and move it. And this happened several times, but believe it or not, I mean, I was like, yo, bro, you're fucking kicking my ass. And we laughed down there. Believe it or not, we actually laughed. In the middle of hell, we laughed. And we needed that. And, we talked a little bit, kept trying to dig me out, and we kind of sat back down, and he said, Willie, I can't get you out. And I remember that really scared me, because I'm like, wait a second, if Don can't get me out, we're in trouble. And that's when we heard another boom, and that was the other building coming down. At that point, I just remember Dominic kind of crouching up, standing up, and everything was shaking. Things are coming down really hard. So I've always done this with my family. I say, I love you. That's the sign language for I love you. All I could do was, as I figured at that point, we're dead, was take both my hands, cover them over my chest, and love me. Because I figured if I died, and they found me like this, they would be able to tell my wife we found me like this. She would know, in my mind. That's what my thinking was. And I covered myself, and I just braced, and I looked over, and I could see Dominic. Just something hit him and sat him down like a rag doll. He was yelling. Now at this point, Sergeant Blockman is yelling because now he's actually being crushed. He's crushed so much that actually his weapon is being pushed into his body level. And I could hear him yelling. Dominic was yelling. I'm yelling. And again, everything happens to seem like it was lasting forever, and then just stopped. The second building had fallen. What we didn't know was during the epicenter, we actually had both powers actually landing us. And it's a miracle that that two of us were still alive, because at that point I looked over, and unfortunately Dominic was coughing up a lot of blood, and we were just all gray, and you could see this kind of red stuff coming out of him. And he said, Willie, I'm Dominic. And I said, Dominic, hold on. That's all I could say was, hold on. I wasn't even thinking about my pain. And I could hear Sergeant Blockman yelling really loud, and Dominic said, Willie, I'm Dominic. Don't ever forget I died trying to save you, but I said, Dominic, I would never do anything like this. And I just kept telling him, please hold on, please hold on. And in the middle of him literally losing his life is leaving. He says to Sergeant Blockman, Sarge, can I get a 48? Which is great. And for Port Authority officers. And Sergeant Blockman stopped the jail and said, yeah, you can have a 48. I don't know what was going through his mind that he actually said, can I get a break? In his last moments, he pulled out his weapon, and he pointed up into that hole that I told you about, where the light was coming in, it's still coming in, and he fired one round. In the last ditch effort to let people know we were down there, his team was down there. And I remember after he fired the weapon, he just slumped over and was gone. That was very difficult for me. I mean, I'm actually only like 2 feet from him. And, I'm yelling, Sarge, Dom's going. And Sergeant Blockman, being such a professional, said, you need to focus, refocus, and start thinking about how you can get out of it. And even though through his pain, it was always a great meal. And at that point, started really our fight for our lives. I kept yelling, ddie officers down. I got a big voice, as you can hear. I'm pretty loud, and I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, but nothing, because we were literally near the globe, near the sphere. We were in the epicenter, so it's like we were just alone. There was nobody around us, nobody could hear us, nobody was coming in. It was just too dangerous. And the fight for our lives happened. And I said, Sergeant, what's going to happen to us? And this is a little bit time passed, yelling. He said, Jimeno, he said, basically what's happening to us is we're being crushed. We're suffering from Parkinson's syndrome. If they don't get to us by the morning, we're probably going to die. And it was hard to hear that, but at the same time, I really appreciate it, because he's being straightforward. So we knew what the situation was. And I said, Sarge, what do we do next in the book, right? You always talk about, what do I do next for the book? He goes, there is no book for this. There's no training, no nothing that could have ever prepared us for this. We literally have to fight for our lives. And that's what we started to do. And as time went on, next thing you know is these fireballs start blowing. and I could smell what's jet fuel. I knew it was jet fuel. Being in the military, I was on a ship, we carried helicopters. I know the smell of jet fuel. And these balls of fire started coming. And like I said before, I don't like fire. And here they're coming on, and they're starting to burn my right arm. And I knew once they caught my uniform, I'm probably going to die, alive, being barefoot, burned alive. And that was very difficult. So I kept yelling, Sarge, these fireballs are coming. All he could do was be supportive. So try to put them out somehow. And I'm like, the fuck do I put these things out, And I just kept kind of throwing like debris at them. Somehow, some way, they would burn me a little bit and then put themselves out. And this went off for a while. So if that wasn't bad enough, then I hear pow, 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 pow. And I look above me and I see sparks. Somehow, some way, Dominic's gun was going off. I don't know if it was from the heat. I don't know what it was, but there was 15 rounds left, and they're firing over my head. And I could look over, and I could see the weapon kind of up in a position it's shooting. So all I could do was take my hand and put it over my face, hoping that if a bullet hit my hand, it would stop it. But I knew it would just go right through me. And somehow, some way, gun unloads, and I'm still open. I cannot express to you how hysterical I was at that point, because I was just like, nothing left of me. Okay, I just went through losing my 3 of my friends, being crushed, being burnt, and now a gun went off. Holy shit, what else can someone take? So again, Sergeant McLaughlin, being the leader, just said, keep focused, keep focused. He understood what was going on, and then for the next several hours, it's something that I wouldn't wish upon anybody. The pain, the nightmare, it just kept going on and on. At one point, I could hear gunshots going off above me, which I know I think it was Building 7, housed a federal building where there's ammunition. I thought we were at war. I thought our cops were in a firefight with terrorists because we didn't know anything. Our radios weren't working. I had lost my radio. Sergeant McLaughlin's radio was static, but he wasn't getting any reception. And as the night went on, we talked to each other. We actually got to know each other because I always knew him as Sergeant McLaughlin. He knew me as a man. We started talking about our families. He told me his name was John. He told me my name was Will. He told me he had 4 kids at home. I told him I had 2 little girls, one on the way. We got to know each other. We said a lot of prayers together. We kept each other going because when one started fading away, the other one would yell. And this continued all night long. And as it was getting darker, I just wanted to give up. I really just wanted to die. This is the point I tell people, especially people who are in a dark place in their life.
9/11 didn't end on 9/11. This is for anyone who was at the World Trade Center on 9/11. Any time. 8 months after, 68 cancers and respiratory illnesses are scientifically linked to the types of dust.
Do I have a Skittle?
Skin cancer is the most common one. Cancer followed by prostate and breast cancer.
Hey, there's at least 3. Here's 1. No, 1 more.
Every state and if certified provider should open the compensation for the victim. In case, God forbid, you get sick in the future. If you lost a loved one to an illness more than 2 years ago, there's a July 21st deadline to file for compensation. Bears and carry orders for the 9/11 community. 911defund.com. 911defund.com.
This is me and the story of what happened on 9/11. Because I want to share this with anybody who's in a dark place. And, going back to what you said in the beginning, there's thousands of 9/11 stories, not like mine. But yeah, they are like mine. I tell everybody, we all have our own World Trade Centers. All right? Your story is important to you as important as to mine. So I tell people, because they come up to me all the time and say, well, I can't imagine 20 stories from you. Yeah, but when you lost a loved one, when you found out you got cancer, when you were in a car accident, whatever the situation is, it's like the World Trade Center coming down. It's what you have to do with yourself to overcome it. And at that point, I was at a point where I just wanted to die. And I said a prayer to God. I'm Catholic. I don't preach religion, but I told God, I said, God, thank you for 33 great years. Thank you for my beautiful wife, Alice. Thank you for 4 great years with my little girl, Bianca. My parents for bringing me this great country, and my baby sister, Karen. and you, my in-laws. And I said, thank you for allowing me to be an American, be a cop, and doing the right thing. And if I die, which I know I was going to, I'm okay with it. But I'm going to ask you for two things. One is to somehow, some way, let me see my little girl be born. That's all I wanted. And let my mother and my mother-in-law be there for her at her birth, because I knew that Allison just wasn't going to happen. And the second thing, and you can laugh at it, I said, God, when I get to heaven, because I felt everybody that day was going to heaven, because these cowards attack innocent human beings, whether you're a first responder or a civilian, we were all going to go to heaven, was just give me a glass of water. I was so thirsty. We were caked in concrete. That's the one thing that was eating me up with thirst. And I closed my eyes, and I was going to die. I was going to give up. And at that point, you can call it a vision, dream, whatever you want to call it. As I closed my eyes to literally give up, I had a vision, and a person's walking toward me with a glowing white robe, no face, brown hair. Over his left shoulder was a pond in the back with beautiful trees, just very tranquil. Over his right shoulder was an endless sea of tall grass. And I knew who it was in my heart. To me, it was Jesus. And as he's walking toward me, what's he got in his hand? A bottle of water. I don't know if it was, Poland Spring or what it was, but I snapped out of that vision, that dream, whatever you want to call it, hallucination, with a fire in my belly. Because at that point, I realized that if I had died, if I had given up, I would have given up on my family, first and foremost. I would have given up on my sergeant, because I'm close to the pole. Nobody could hear him. And if I died, they would never find him. I would have given up on my country. But most of all, I would have given up on myself. So what I'm trying to convey to anybody, if you're going through substance abuse, whether you're going through a bad relationship, whether you're a kid who's just been adopted and feels lost, whatever that darkness you're dealing with, don't give up on yourself. Because at the moment you give up on yourself, you're really letting yourself down and so many people around you. And trust me, you're loved. And you're not alone. You're not alone. In whatever darkness you are in, you're not alone. And at that point, I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die giving it everything I have. Because that way, at least I can go in peace knowing that I didn't give up. I gave everything I had. And I owe that to myself. I owe it to my family, to my sergeant, to my country. And I wasn't going to let these terrorists win. Because if I've given up, they win. And that's meaning